This is how sex traffickers do business. It's about supply and demand. First, they need someone to sell. Traffickers target children in their own homes. They find them by combing through social media profiles, looking to spark a conversation. The trafficker targets preteens and teens by finding an end, something to bond over and earn their trust. It could be the promise of a modeling career. Traffickers use internet sites to connect with buyers. So who are these buyers? Court records show they've been teachers, pastors, cops, and judges. They could be the guy next door.
Some of these kids who are being sex trafficked. We're talking about kids that are, 13, 12, that type of age. It's scary.
Well, and also with that age, it's like a lot of them have a lot more access to social media now. They have their own accounts. They have a phone, a smart device. And you can easily set up an Instagram page, easily set up a TikTok page. It's so easy, and you're putting your personal information out there. And you get people in your DMs sometimes, all the time,
Right, all the time.
And you come across the right one who's like, oh my gosh, you're beautiful. You should try coming to this blah, 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 and there it goes. These are minors. And I think as a parent, I'm going to be combing through. I mean, our children aren't of that age yet. And I'm telling you, they probably won't have a smartphone for quite some time. But at the time, I'm telling you, the time,
they do,
or even if they do, they're going to have to, babe. I mean, that's just the way of the world. It's technology. And they're already talking about, Mom, I want my own YouTube page and and all of this stuff. So it's inevitable. It's going to come. But along with that comes a huge responsibility. And I think it's us as parents to dictate, number one, the amount of time that they spend on social media. Number two, you have to educate them and let them know. I know in our kids' school, both of them actually had to do some type of presentation about online safety, and they had to come up with their own presentation on how to stay safe online. Mm-hmm. And so we go through that because of the assignment. I think it would have probably come across our mind once they have access to those things, which they kind of, they're watching YouTube videos, but they're not actually, ain't got no DMs, they ain't got no messages coming in through to them specifically, or personally. It's usually through our accounts that they're watching that stuff. Right. But it's great that they're teaching that in the schools on things to look out for, things to, talk to your parents about. And they actually know. They know not to give out passwords. They know if they come across any kind of strange interaction, or if someone's asking you for some personal information, they know not to give out their personal information. And if you feel uncomfortable, just generally uncomfortable about something, they know to come to us. Yeah. So it's good to start those conversations early.
It's a tough conversation to have, but I think the problem is that, well, first of all, let's take a step back. A lot of these traffickers, they do focus on kids who don't have attention at home, or maybe possibly wanting to run away, or kids that are just detached a little bit from their parents. That's whatever true. The case is. So they focus on those first, because those are the kids that you could get to, possibly meet you somewhere. I mean, it all starts off with the conversation. That's why I like Chris Hansen's How to Catch a Predator. Have you ever watched that? The thing about that show, that was exactly what it was. It would be online chats, and this show goes back years.
It does. Yes.
And they would be doing the online chats, and the people who would be the adults who would be talking to these kids, they would use a decoy, of course, online. But the decoy was like, I'm 13 or I'm 12, and they would eventually go through the conversations and eventually meet up at this decoy house. And these people are showing up in their 40s, 50s, sometimes in their 60s, knowing that they're meeting a 13-year-old.
Yeah.
There are people who do that. Now they're just pedophiles, right?
Mm-hmm.
But those are situations where those pedophiles could be traffickers. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So
and this is how you get that turnover, because on the social media, your access is unlimited, honestly. Mm-hmm. And you're I would assume as the trafficker, you're able to somehow figure out who's underage, who's not underage. It doesn't even matter. I think they just want human bodies at the end of the day. Right. So the fact that they're able to the turnover, the way that they were just saying how they were receiving new girls like every week.
Mhm.
That just blows my mind, but it also speaks to the fact that I think it's because of social media and being able to send a mass message out to so many girls and say, hey, just meet us here if you want to be a dancer, if you want to blah blah blah, make it sound like there's an opportunity there, because they probably do want better for themselves. If they're in a situation where maybe their home life isn't the best and maybe they do want to try to make some money, who knows what their life's circumstance or their family circumstance is.
How they end up that way. Yeah, no, that's a great point.
That's how it ends up.
That's a great point, because now we got to talk about the fact that, stripping culture has become, and I'm not knocking strippers, but the whole stripping and dancing has become so mainstream that there are a lot of young girls who are susceptible to the idea of I can just go and strip, and like you said, they may have a situation that they want to get out of or whatever it is. They're just young and they want to make money quickly. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty and somebody's showing me that attention. I can go dance and go make $2,000 a night and all this stuff. And you end up meeting people who are not going to set you up in some strip club. They are going to basically pimp you out. And that's what it turns into. So, and these are really sad things, because they end up being trafficked and they end up being forced to have sex with hundreds of people a day sometimes. This isn't even like a prostitute turning tricks.
Right.
This is like beyond your...
And we're talking about children too. Children aren't really thinking about stripping on the stripping pole. We're talking about just, and trying to make money for the family. Although there are women out there and young underaged, I would say, underaged females out there who may think that is a viable option for them, is to go and strip, but in this other aspect of human trafficking, we're talking about children.
Yeah, and that's the thing that makes me that's the one that makes me sick to my stomach,